Um, I'm just thinking again, trying to channel some of the nonprofits that I work with, whether they're foundations or otherwise, and reaching these new audiences. What just kind of big picture tips would you offer a nonprofit that is trying to reach new audiences? Well, or like on the plus side or the minus side, like do this or don't do that. And if I'm hearing you correctly, and something I really appreciate about you is like, let me hear your story and let's connect and let's just, like, wow, you're a human too, and let's,
Hmm.
have
Hmm.
conversations and learn commonality or not or whatever. But showing up authentically. So what are the other kind of things a nonprofit should think about when trying to expand their target market or trying to outreach to new communities, especially if they may have historical baggage or they're white
Hmm.
led or whatever the case may be? Any highlights about think about this and don't do that?
Yeah, I would say look for partners. So hopefully your interest in this new community is based on something real, you know,
Hmm.
um, you know, wanting to be of service or
Hmm.
wanting to fill in a gap,
Hmm.
recognizing an opportunity, but there's something real tied to that. So
Hmm.
I would say look for a partner. Maybe there's someone already doing that,
Hmm.
or there's someone already working with that community that
Hmm.
doesn't but they don't do what you do, and so you can look
Hmm.
to form an alliance together. Maybe that partnership, because partnership doesn't have to be partner in the formal way.
Hmm.
Maybe it's simply following and observing an organization that you admire. So
Hmm.
literally following them on social media,
Hmm.
engaging with them there,
Hmm.
following the leadership,
Hmm.
going to their performances or
Hmm.
going to their meetings,
Hmm.
their public meetings, just sort of showing up
Right.
and um, and being not showing up as a looky-loo or a lurking person, but being
Hmm.
authentic, like saying, we're gonna follow you because we like what you're doing and we want to be active in this community too. Or
Uh-huh.
we want to be
Help
active
us.
with this community
Uh-huh.
too. So yeah, help us. Do you mind if we see your notes, or do you mind if we actively participate in one of the meetings that you're having?
Uh-huh.
Or can we sit at the table as opposed
Right.
to off on the side? Those kinds of things.
Yeah.
I think that really works. I mentioned this earlier, but I would say start consuming the media
Yeah.
that community consumes,
Hmm.
whether it's by subscribing to the community newspaper or listening to the talk radio program that is targeted at the community, or following some new Facebook pages or Instagram
Hmm.
accounts,
Hmm.
just kind of understanding how is information shared and what kind of information is shared. That helps you show up and go to
Hmm.
some of these places.
Hmm.
I would say become a patron of that community. So
Hmm.
whether it's changing up where you get your coffee in the morning,
Hmm.
catering in lunch from
Hmm.
a restaurant in that
Hmm.
community,
Hmm.
um, you know, if you're going to do any kind of, so sometimes organizations say, well, we're looking for an executive vice president of programs. We'd love for it to be a person of color, but we just can't find anybody. Okay, that's if that's what's happening, that's what's happening.
Right.
But you know what? Can you find a consultant to be a facilitator of a meeting who's a person from that community? Like,
Uh-huh.
start where you can start.
Uh-huh.
Stop waiting to fill the star position
Uh-huh.
and tell me about your struggles. There's like other roles that people can play throughout the organization where you can start to build those connections. Sometimes, you can an ED or a board chair should look at their own LinkedIn um, list of followers and see how white it is, and do
Mm-hmm.
something about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not that hard to spend 30 minutes on LinkedIn every week,
Mm-hmm.
every Sunday afternoon, just
Mm-hmm.
finding one new person to follow
Mm-hmm.
and to begin engaging in their work and to begin
Mm-hmm.
commenting. There's no need to write them to say, hi, I'm trying to get closer to your community.
Right.
You can just sort of, baby step your way into it.
Yeah.
So there's just some real tips like that for finding partners that you can pursue.
Yeah. And what about things to avoid?
Um, I would avoid generalizations, which is addressed by being curious and open-minded.
Mhm,
I would avoid leading with data and
mhm.
leading with past experiences, because what's
Great,
happening
great,
right
great.
now with you and right
Uh-huh,
now is what matters more than
uh-huh,
what happened 10 years ago when you met somebody who did something to you and so you're never gonna do that again. Like,
right.
so I would avoid leading with that.
Uh-huh.
I um I would avoid trying to do too much too fast. There's
Mhm,
that American sense of more is more and more is better. And
mhm,
there's that American sense of faster is better.
mhm.
And I would say let's pull that back a little
Do a
bit
little
and
slow roll.
do a little slow roll. Pick 3 things that you can really accomplish this year and do really well.
Mhm,
There's that power of threes. We all know,
mhm,
there's a lot of reasons why 3 is a good
mhm,
number.
mhm.
And for some organizations, they'll say that's just not good enough. We've got to make the commitment. We've been waiting on this for 10 years. Well, look, it's not my fault that you slept on something for 10 years and now you
Right,
want to try to do 12 things. You're not going to do 12 things really
right.
well. Let's do 3 things really well. Be willing to pay for what you're trying to do. So I have seen too many times that organizations have made investments in all kinds of things, but when it comes to DE&I, they want to ask the performing artists to perform for free. They want to bring in, the Native American to bless
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
the land, but they don't want
Yeah,
to offer a stipend. It's like, you've paid for everything else,
right,
pay for this too.
right.
So be willing to invest. And even if the person doesn't offer it, be willing to offer that, because people's time is worth something and you're
Well,
you're trading something. So pay for it. So that
okay.
has not worked well. I've seen that not work well when organizations have decided that that the thing they want for free is that person of color to do something for them. It's
Didn't,
not a good look.
no, it sounds like slavery to me, but I guess that's another topic. Switching gears a little bit, Kim, how about success? Like, how do you, when you have a communication strategy, it's not like, okay, again, I'm picking on this idea of a poster. Boom, okay, here's our communications plan and it results in this poster and whatever. It's not like things turn on a dime and services increase or revenue increases, but how do you like the next day, but how do you then say, okay, we're going to do this communication strategy, whatever that looks like. Um, how do you then measure success?
Um, I think one way we measure success is through new relationships,
Hmm.
because relationships create opportunities. Like,
Hmm.
once you know that something is out there or something exists, it can be an opportunity for all parties
Hmm.
to do things bigger and to do things differently, or to have more meaning to what they do. So when we're able to be a part of creating a relationship between a grantee and a grantor, or a client and a service provider, that's wonderful. And so for some of the projects, it's been hardcore metrics, like, oh,
Hmm.
we had 13 applicants for this two
Hmm.
years ago, and now we have 80.
Right.
We're able to fund more and do
Yeah.
more, like
Yeah.
hardcore metrics. And sometimes it's softer,
Yeah.
where we know that, um, that there's someone in a community of color doing some great things, and they just don't have the connections.
Yeah.
They simply, their work is quite meaningful, but they just don't know people they should know. And so we can connect them to one of our clients, and then that client takes them even further
Right.
with relationships. And that's wonderful. I think another measurement, more traditional measurement, might be impressions or exposure, or,
Hmm.
so through printed, or I'm sorry, through earned news media,
Hmm.
or more clicks on things, more
Hmm.
eyes, more
Hmm.
followers, things like
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
Um, those things might seem more superficial to some people, but they do matter in terms
Hmm.
of your getting the word out,
Hmm.
having people engage
Hmm.
with your content. We sometimes, we focus on the number of, but mostly it's about engagement. So if you can have a very effective social media platform with a couple hundred followers, but if they are sharing everything you post and making
Hmm.
comments, then you've got the right 200 people. And so
Right.
that's important too.
That's
Um,
great.
And then lastly, I think
Yeah.
it's institutional or internal change. So
Uh-huh.
when our work is connected to people saying they feel different, they think differently, they see their jobs differently, like they didn't realize that they were actually part of a movement, but
Uh-huh.
they are, then that's pretty special too. We did some work. I don't mind naming names. We did some work with the Chicago Department of Housing
Uh-huh.
in the fall of 2020, working on their new mission, vision, and value statements under a new leader. And the leadership team was like ready to go. Like
Yeah.
they were there. They knew exactly what they were wanting to accomplish. But we involved the whole staff in the process through workshops. And there was just one poignant moment. I'll never forget it, where one of the staff members who is closer to, he's not at City Hall at all.
Yeah.
He's in community. He's helping to fix homes so that people, so families can move in. He's a journeyman or a laborman.
Yeah.
He was late 50s.
Yeah. Frontline.
White guy, been with the city for years, right? So mission, vision, values, whatever.
I'm
He
fixing
knows
apartments, lady.
I'm
What do you
fixing
want?
apartments, right?
Yeah.
But he came into the workshop and shared a story about what it feels like for him to turn over the keys to a home, to a family.
Awesome.
By the time he finished talking, we were all crying because that's the mission in action.
Yeah.
So when you can connect, when you can be people who create process and policy being connected to like what's really, really happening, and everybody's changed. And he got to know too that he's helping to change at higher levels. He's helping to create change. It was great. It was great.
Awesome. Well, that seems like a really nice place to end our conversation today, Kim. And thank you so much. This has been wonderful to talk about communications, showing up authentically, and DEI work, of course, but I really appreciate you, and I appreciate your time today. And thanks so much
Thanks, Mark.
for chatting.
You're very welcome. Thanks for
All
having
right.
me.